Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. Breaking news this morning out of Southern Nevada about Speaker Richard Perkins. And he's got the rundown.
Sam, the Las Vegas Review-Journal revealed this morning that Richard Perkins, Speaker of the Assembly, was on full pay from the Henderson Police Department while he was at the legislature. We can talk more about that at the Pundit panel. First, we're going to talk to Tim Hay, the consumer advocate. What happens if the power company goes bankrupt? And then we talk to Sam McMullen. Was he responsible for beating gaming during the last legislative session? Sam?
A hot show today, and on the Pundit panel, Chris Wicker, Ray Hagar, and Paul Enos. It's all coming up next on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
The Abowed family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
Catch a straight, dine at 8. Lucky you. Lucky you. Dance till 1. Have some fun. Lucky you. Lucky you. Taste the shrimp. Have a sip. Try the pool. Play it cool. At the Sienna Hotel Spa Casino. Lucky you.
The biggest risk your company can take.
Well, Barbara, you did very well on your interview.
Hiring employees can help your business get to the next level.
And your resume looks outstanding.
And it can also expose you to corporate crimes and costly lawsuits that can bring your company to its knees.
So, we'd like to offer you a position.
Before you hire another employee, hire the professionals at Employer Links. Call today to get our free CD-ROM, The Top 8 Risk of Hiring Employees.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years. Call 882-1700 to see what we can do for your organization.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad, political analyst Ande Engleman on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the News 4 Broadcast Center, here's Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're joined by Tim Hay. He's the director of the Bureau of Consumer Protection, and we welcome him to the program.
Tim, thank you for being
Thanks
here
for having
morning.
me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, people have to get used to the fact that the BCP, or the Bureau of Consumer Protection, is the consumer advocate. So these old titles hang around.
Yeah, since 1997.
How long have you been consumer advocate?
I was appointed originally to fill Fred Schmidt's unexpired term in April of 2000. So coming up on...
It's been about 3 years.
A little over 3 years, yeah.
Okay. All right, right now, even as we speak, there's negotiations going on in Las Vegas between Enron and Sierra Pacific because of all the money that Enron claims that Sierra Pacific owes them. If these talks don't go well and Sierra Pacific has to pay all that money, we're talking millions of dollars here, right?
$340 million approximately, plus interest.
Okay, if they have to pay that money to Enron, what does that mean to the ratepayers?
Well, legally, this is a fairly complicated issue, Andy. We're assisting the company in a FERC filing in which...
And that's the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission.
Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which, although they have already approved the contracts and said that the contracts themselves were valid, that Sierra had entered into with Enron, The company in our office believes that there's an issue there whether or not the termination clause, which is what is actually the issue in the bankruptcy court, was appropriately triggered. So we're hoping that FERC will assert jurisdiction and say that even though the contracts were valid, the termination clause itself was not appropriately utilized by Enron. That would relieve the bankruptcy court from having to enforce that. So we're hoping that we never get to the point where they have to, pay money. The issue here is that these termination payments are for power that was never delivered to Nevada consumers. So it would be our position in front of the PUC, if we get that far, that in fact the ratepayers should not pay for essentially a commodity that was never delivered to them. Hopefully we won't have to get that far if we prevail at FERC, and if or if there's some successful negotiations between Enron and Sierra.
But Sierra Pacific would still have to pay.
Well, assuming that the company does not prevail at FERC and the bankruptcy court continues to allow Enron to enforce the judgment, it's stayed at this point until about December 10th, but Sierra Pacific could theoretically have to pay that money if FERC doesn't act and if the bankruptcy court allows the enforcement.
If they don't get the money from the ratepayers, where will they get the money from, and could they go bankrupt?
The company in their FERC pleading has indicated that if they did have to pay this judgment, that it could lead to a bankruptcy. That's not absolutely certain, obviously. It would be money that would essentially come from shareholders if it is not passed on to ratepayers.
Well, what do you say, shareholders? I mean, shareholders aren't going to write a check to help pay for this.
No.
So how would that, all their reserves, all their cash, all their everything?
It would be similar to having a disallowance, as we've gotten in some of the deferred energy cases, where the company essentially has to, pick up the tab for their imprudent actions. Now, in this particular case, we had actually written the company in June of 2001 to start encouraging them to renegotiate these contracts. It took them basically till the end of the year before they acted on even moving forward on that. So, we've been somewhat critical of the fact that we think they could have mitigated this issue earlier, but we're certainly supporting them at the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission.
When you talk about the shareholders having to pay this, we're talking about people that depend upon their dividend checks to live. This can mean a hit for a lot of senior citizens.
That's a little bit of a fallacious argument, actually. Sierra Pacific is owned almost 90% by institutional investors. The stock value of the company since the time of the merger between Sierra Pacific and Nevada Power has basically been reduced to a little over $5 a share right now, from the high 20s to the mid 30s. Prior to the merger, we were somewhat critical of the way the company handled some of the post-merger issues. The stock price has been on a continual decline. The dividend's been abandoned. So a lot of the damage to the shareholders, unfortunately, has already been done. But for practical purposes, there's not a large number of small shareholders, and they're certainly not relying on Sierra Pacific shares to produce income, because the dividend's been gone for well over a year now. Can
I put in one last quick question? Yeah. You had an audit. That not everybody was thrilled with the audit. I got to ask you one question. Do you not like Brian Sandoval? Is there some reason why you won't move over into free offices in the Attorney General's office? And does he have body odor? Is there something that we
No, and actually the General and I have had a long-standing personal relationship. Obviously, he represented the utilities for a number of years in front of the PUC. I've got specific statutory authority on where to locate my office and other issues. That really was not the primary issue in the audit. It was more our use of consulting dollars, and I think we fairly effectively have described the legislative history and why the office is set up the way that it is. So certainly nothing personal.
Okay, Tim, hey, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We'll continue to follow these stories closely. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers with Sam McMullen right after this.
Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Terry.
And this is Dan's Pizza and Parlor. Everything we make here is from scratch. Our fresh cut fries, homemade hamburgers made to order, fresh pizza dough made with 3 types of flour, and Terry's secret pizza sauce, and Dreyer's world-famous ice cream. And if you have a sports team, your kids can really have a great time here. Oh! Dan's Pizza and Parlor on Victorian Avenue, just down the street from Great Basin Brewery next to Pyramid Highway.
Would you like to savor a Trento pork chop? Or maybe pasta rags with grilled chicken? Hugo's Tuscan Grill at D'Andrea is a celebration of color, flavor, and freshness. Each dish is created from natural, wholesome foods that is delicious and nutritious. Hugo's is a comfortable restaurant with breathtaking city views. If you enjoy great food and good company, visit us here at Hugo's. It's the best that dining can be. 2900 South D'Andrea Parkway in Sparks.
Welcome to Sushi Club, best sushi in town. The Sushi Club in Independence Square used the best quality products. The sushi is dynamite, and the service is just wonderful.
The Sushi Club is bigger and better. We have 11 sushi chefs on staff, and the service is great.
All your friends will tell you that Sushi Club is the best place for the best sushi.
Come join us for lunch or dinner.
The Sushi Club, 294 East Moana Lane in the Independence Square.
Now that's great sushi.
To experience the royal cuisine of India, you need some serious magic or simply transport yourself to India Garden, right here in Reno, where you'll discover Indian specialties refined over centuries. Sikh kebab, tandoori dishes cooked in our own tandoor oven, biryani specialties, curries, fresh-baked Indian bread, over a dozen vegetarian dishes, even dishes rare to India like dosa, South Indian-style crepes. India Garden off South Virginia near Sports West. We are India.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're joined by Sam McMullen. He's the president of the McMullen Strategic Group. It's a pleasure to have you back on here.
Yeah, thank you.
You look very relaxed now that the session has been over for several months.
Looks can be deceiving.
Okay, so sum it up for us. Is there anything that you would have done differently than you did in the session if you'd have had forethought of what was going to occur?
There were a lot of things that we tried to do that didn't happen. I think I would have hoped that we would have been able to do those. I think there was a lot more solution and opportunities out of the session for the long term that I was hoping for, and the group that I was a part of were hoping for. We're going to see a $188 million hole in the next budget. We were hoping that we could, make sure that the solution went beyond that. All types of things. We looked for a lot more collaboration. We didn't find that. We found contentiousness and some sort of warfare. So, there were a lot of things we wanted that we didn't get, just in terms of how we process those issues.
So, Sam, what is your plan to make sure that doesn't happen in the next session? We know we're starting with a shortfall.
Well, I think we're going to try the same things we tried last time, which was to collaborate, to communicate, to make sure that we were talking to people, get the business community together. They didn't want to do that. A lot of people had different ideas last time. Our group held together pretty well, but we're going to have to be involved in the elections. Some of these people are angry about votes that were taken or weren't taken, or who supported what. We're going to try and make sure that things come back to normal. We have a lot of great legislators. We don't need to be blowing those out just because of emotional response on a very tough session, very contentious, and in some senses desperate session. We don't need to let that ruin the fabric of the legislature.
You were amazingly successful. I mean, it is not an understatement to say that you pulled off an amazing victory that few would have thought was possible at the beginning of the session, and essentially you beat gaming, to say the least.
Well, first of all, I didn't do it by myself, and it was a long-term strategy that a whole raft of dozens and dozens of business organizations got together. But it was pretty much a solution-oriented consensus type of approach. We knew there were needs. We knew that the business community had responsibilities to step up to them. We knew it would be hundreds of millions of dollars. The disappointing thing was we ended up arguing about how we were going to do that, and we missed some of the what. I think there were some disappointments in the session about tax structure, things we could have done better for the future of Nevada. But we had a whole group that did that, and again, I think we're just going to try and continue that effort because the problems aren't going to go away.
Are you having conversations with gaming lobbyists now? Are you trying to smooth things over now and work, so that you can work closer together in the next session, or is it still pretty...
Well, the gaming lobbyists are people I work with every day, and most of us do. But I think the real issue is to talk to some of the gaming leaders, gaming executives, because I think in a lot of ways they have the same interests about the state of Nevada that all of us do, same understanding that that we do have needs, that we're growing, and they really stepped out there last year trying to be part of the solution in their own way. So I think it's just a function of trying to get that aligned and get people back together.
Will business step up to the plate this election and contribute more to campaigns than they have in the past?
I would assume so. That seems like what we're doing right now, and a lot more interest. And again, I think it's much more activated than I've ever seen at this stage of the election season.
You know, it's very interesting to look at what's going on even locally here. You know, we've looked at Indian gaming as a threat, and now we have, you know, a Mercedes dealership being built on Indian land here in town. How do you look at that, and does that concern you?
Well, you know, it's for businesses, it's not an issue because they basically because of the interlocal agreement they've entered into inside the state, they charge the same taxes. The issue, I think, is one more as it's being addressed by some of the other people and some of the legislators, that it's a question of state and local revenues. But you know, the Indians, I think, use that money very well to take care of a lot of people. So is there a question of whether they're avoiding expenses that would be otherwise covered by the budget? I think that's why, you know, that people need to look at this and see exactly what the facts are and then make some smart decisions.
And we will be hearing from the local tribe next week.
Yes, we will.
We'll devote a lot of time to this issue.
You know, there's always a policy issue around every corner, you know.
Okay, so now the big question is, has anybody from gaming attempted to secure your services to change sides in the next session?
No.
Would you tell us if they had?
Probably, but nobody has. No, actually, I think they're. I don't even know what they're doing, so that's fine. They're very, I think, competently represented.
Let me ask you, boy, you're the diplomat. What do you think about the governor's approach of saying that he's not going to be the one to raise taxes? And doesn't that concern you for the long-term health of the state? That you know, if Jim Gibbons, for example, runs, you know, he's going to run on a no new taxes proceed. We're going to look at a lot of services being cut if we don't get the revenues.
Well, I don't know if that's true, Sam. You know, you can assume that, but on the other hand, we just raised our funding in this state 1/3, 30-some percent. And so that is a lot of additional money. Now we're growing like crazy, there's no question about that. But I think in a sense there's a value of letting some of this shake out. And you know, the governor's also saying that he's not raising any more taxes. So now he's got a budget that they put together that has a long-term hole in it, and he's going to have to adjust. He's going to have to present a balanced budget to the next legislature. I think that means he's going to have to cut back on the very things he was activated for this session. And so we'll see. He's going to have the first issue in resolving that because he has to present the balanced budget.
Okay, Sam McMullen, thanks so much for being here. Would you come back a little sooner this time? Sure. All right. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this timeout.
Before you head to Carson, take care of yourself with a visit to Tamarack Junction. Catch a hot cup of coffee and the morning news on one of our 32 TVs and enjoy the best food in South Reno. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
The Abowed family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
Today's lesson, another reason to take the Gold Rush Club Card Challenge. With the Gold Rush Card, you really have 3 cards in one. Use your cash back. You still keep your comps and drawing tickets. Use your comps. You still keep your cash and drawing tickets. And with your drawing tickets, you could win thousands in cold hard cash every week. And still keep your cash back and comps. Does your club add up? Graduate to the Gold Rush Players Club. It's the smart thing to do. The Gold Dust West, south on Keystone, east on 4th.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Make your daily commute easy with breakfast or lunch at the Tamarack Junction. Enjoy daily specials, super fast service, and South Reno's freshest morning meals. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
Mr. McMullen, diplomatic to the end there.
Yes, he was.
Let's introduce our cast of characters on today's Pundit panel. It's a great panel today. Ray Hagar with the Reno Gazette-Journal. We've got Chris Wicker, who's the chairman of the Washoe County Democratic Party, and Paul Enos, who's the manager of government affairs for the Nevada Retail Association. Welcome to you all. You want to kick this off?
Yeah, let's start with Richard Perkins.
I knew you were going to do that.
Well, guys, it's breaking news. I mean, you know, this is a news show. The Las Vegas Review-Journal revealed this morning that, in fact, Richard Perkins got his full pay from the Henderson Police Department during the regular session and the 2 special sessions of the legislature. He claimed that he worked his 39.5 hours on weekends, etc. And so there is a state law that says you're not supposed to be double dipping and serving 2 masters and getting pay from 2 at the same time while you're a public employee. Does anybody want to jump in here?
Well, there are some public employees who do go to the legislature and who don't take pay. I know Sheila Leslie is one of them from up here, as well as Bernie, and that can cause a lot of financial pain. And there are other legislators and other lines of work who
in the private sector
who don't get paid either. And there was an assemblyman who was sleeping in his office because he didn't have the money to afford an apartment.
And I know 2 of them that lost their jobs, and I mean, they followed the law, they did the right thing.
Well, I'm not sure of the intricacies of the law, and that's obviously something I want to look at, but I think the point I want to make here is that I've continually said what a sacrifice the legislators make to serve, and we don't want to make it. I don't think we want to make it so that public employees cannot serve in the legislature. They do constitute a large portion of the population, and we don't want just the independently wealthy or the retired or the unemployed to serve the legislature. We want people that work to serve in the legislature. I think that's important to get good policy.
Okay,
now,
but
if you violated the law, I don't know if you violated the law.
If you're legitimately doing the work on the weekend, I mean, I remember Bob Sater, who was my attorney, and when he served in the legislature, you would find him at his office on the weekends working very long hours.
Well, Richard Perkins,
that was the only way he could keep up.
Well, Richard Perkins says that he worked on the weekends and at night, and even during the day, and with the kind of job he had, he could do that, and his chief of police says he did. Now, these charges are being brought by people that have been, terminated for reasons unconnected, although now they say it is connected. So you really have to take with a grain of salt what's being said here.
Well, go ahead, Ray.
Even if Speaker Perkins' excuses are plausible in this instance, I still think it's a real bad news for the Democrats, because remember, we still have 4 other Democratic Assembly people in Las Vegas that are accused of double dipping and could lose their job over it, not their legislative position, their job that puts food on the table. And in the overall picture, I think that this is going to cause a turnaround in leadership and the majority in the Assembly. Republicans only need to get 3 seats. We have 4 in jeopardy in the South, and at least 1 Democrat in jeopardy up here, Bernie Anderson, who I think is a very good lawmaker, but we still have to see if he's going to run because of health problems. And if Bernie doesn't run, I don't think for sure another Democrat is going to take his place, because I live in Bernie's district and I know that people vote for Bernie not because he's a Democrat, because they vote for him because he's Bernie Anderson.
Well, I'd say Bernie's feeling a lot better right now. But yeah,
thank you. Thank you, Dr.
It's not
Wicker.
a pretty picture. I don't think it's a pretty picture at all, and I'm not happy about it. But we really have to get back to we want a citizen legislature. That's what we have, and somehow we have to make it possible.
And it's going to be the citizens of Nevada who make that decision whether or not public employees can serve, because there's going to be a petition circulated on Nevada Day, beginning on Nevada Day, October 31st, and if that becomes part of the Constitution, like I said, it's going to be up to the citizens of Nevada to decide whether or not they believe public employees should serve.
Andy,
yeah, Chris and Ray, jump in here. Chris, during the last election, we more or less had an anointment of Governor Kenny Gwynn.
More or less, I'd say we did.
and that's largely Democratic fault. I mean, the Democrats. Ray, jump in here.
No, I think you're absolutely wrong about it. I think that's largely a money issue. With the anointment was all about money going to a single candidate rather than being spread out as it has been in the past. I think that's why it was called anointment.
I think there are some other factors involved here. The winner of the gubernatorial primary was Senator Joe Neal.
We have 1 minute, so hurry up.
The Democrats and the black community have had a strong relationship that I know that goes back to the days of Grant Sawyer 40 years ago. And for the first time, a black man wins your gubernatorial primary and you turn your back on him. And I think it caused a boycott of Democrats in certain districts in northern Nevada and led to the defeat of Debbie Smith out in Sun Valley and put a Republican in there. Don Gustafson won that district by just the slightest of margin.
Well, I want to correct something.
Okay,
I need to correct
15
something.
seconds.
The Democrats did not turn their back on the black
yes,
community.
they
It was
did.
a couple of leaders at the state level that did.
Oh,
I know
the leader of the
myself as the county
Democratic
level, I
Party.
was there. Okay,
Yes,
that's
you
what I'm
Senator
saying.
Reid.
You were there because
No,
you were
not
trying
Senator
to...
Reid.
Senator Reid did not back Joe Neal.
Hey, we're out of time. We're out of time.
Believe me,
But
Senator
we're out of
Reid did
time.
not back
We're
Joe
out of
Neal.
time. We'll be right back.
Big Apple Pizza, best pizza in Nevada, take one.
Today we're here, we're making homemade meatballs for a meatball parm. You like cheesesteak? I think you're like in South Philly right now. It's the best cheese ever made. Now that's how a Philly cheesesteak's supposed to look.
And here's little Cole.
This is authentic. We'll throw some pepperoni in here. Not gonna be shy about it. Yeah, I bet you guys didn't know I could do that. Don't skimp on the toppings. Authentic as it gets. Big Apple Pizza and Subs on the corner of Bering and McCarran. A New Jersey guy who knows how to make an East Coast pizza.
Would you like to savor a Trento pork chop? Or maybe pasta rags with grilled chicken? Hugo's Tuscan Grill at D'Andrea is a celebration of color, flavor, and freshness. Each dish is created from natural, wholesome foods that is delicious and nutritious. Hugo's is a comfortable restaurant with breathtaking city views. If you enjoy great food and good company, visit us here at Hugo's. It's the best that dining can be. 2900 South D'Andrea Parkway in Sparks.
Hi, I'm Dan.
And I'm Terry.
And this is Dan's Pizza and Parlor. Everything we make here is from scratch. Our fresh cut fries, homemade hamburgers made to order, fresh pizza dough made with 3 types of flour, and Terry's secret pizza sauce, and Dreyer's world famous ice cream. And if you have a sports team, your kids can really have a great time here. Oh! Dan's Pizza and Parlor on Victorian Avenue, just down the street from Great Basin Brewery next to Pyramid Highway.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
Okay, Dan Mason, this is for you. Andy and I will be on KOH this afternoon from 4 o'clock until 5:45. So please tune in. And if you're listening to this on the radio on Sunday, you missed it. We'll see you.